Hello, my name is John DeBenedictis. I'm the Executive Director for the National Soccer Coaches Association of Canada. Our host today was supposed to be Valeria Rock, our Vice President, but unfortunately he had a power failure at home, and therefore I'm filling in. Today we have a real interesting topic and have a great all-star lineup of guests here. We've been doing a number of sessions where we looked at our Canada's national team, having the coach talk to some of their ex-players. And this is the third in that series. And in particular, we're going to look at the 1994 World Cup qualifications and the 94 team, as they also played a number of friendlies before the World Cup. Great to have the coach of the team at the time, Bob Lenarduzzi. Bobby also played for Canada's team when they were in the World Cup in '86 for 20 Waiters at the time. And then he took over as coach in, I don't know what year exactly it was, but he was the coach at that time. Then we also have his players, Alex Bunbury, who played as a striker, Frank Yallop, who played, I believe you're a defender, if I'm not mistaken, Frank, and coaching.
Yeah,
and then we had Craig.
Not the best.
and then we had Craig Forrest, who was our keeper. And I'm just going to have you guys maybe just talk a little bit about what about yourselves and what you're doing now, and before we actually get into the actual competition. So maybe we'll start with Coach Bobby. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I cut out there. What are you looking for?
Just a better introduction than I gave you, just for what you're up to now.
Yeah.
and things like that.
I'm the club liaison with the Whitecaps. I've been with with soccer here in Vancouver since 1974 in one capacity or another: coach, player, administrator, and I'd have to say that when you're playing, I think you take for granted that it's a relatively short career. And although I've enjoyed the game beyond playing, nothing beats the playing side. You just go out, you play a game that you played as a youth, and you happen to get paid for it. And for me, I'm still trying to avoid getting a real job, because anything that I do in soccer, I feel like it's even the difficult times. It's for me, it's something that I love, and as long as I can stay involved, I'm happy to do so. But this the guys that are on the call today, and that whole group of players was a relatively experienced group, and I was transitioning from club coaching to the national team, and there was a definite period of trying to do what we were doing in the club with the club team, but it was totally different, because the games, it's not a season. We had 12 games in that qualifying process. There's so much more of a premium on the matches that it's not like a club season where you can actually look ahead, and if you happen to drop a game as a result of trying to go for it, then it's okay, because you can always make that up. But it was a pleasure having the guys on the call today and that group of players to work with. It was pretty much autopilot, and a bunch of good players, but also a bunch of good guys as well.
And Alex, let's go to you. You're living in the United States right now, and I know that your son, Teal, is playing for the New England Revolution, I believe.
Yes.
And you've also started your own academy. And we even talked earlier before we started with your daughter as an actress, I guess.
Yeah.
Give us some more info. Go ahead.
Well, first and foremost, I'm grateful to just be a part of this. To be in the presence of Bobby, who in all honesty is a legend of the game. And Bobby has been instrumental in the game for many years, and his family for that matter. And it was a joy being a player under his leadership. And Craig and Frank, my former teammates, I want to thank them for all the joy we had playing, trying to do something special for our country. Presently, and after I retired from the game, I was fortunate enough to play the game, as Bobby mentioned earlier, the game that we love. and I haven't found a real job since. Same with you, Bobby. I've been involved in youth development since I retired. And what prompted me to doing that was working with my son, Teal. And I really wanted to spend some time with him because when I was playing professionally, it was really hard. So when we moved back to North America, Minnesota, I decided to work with my son, and it just grew from there. And I started private training, and then it moved on from coaching in teams and clubs under their umbrella. And then I just started my own academy because I wanted to do something different that is presently being done. I wanted to focus on individual brilliance. So we started the Alex Bunbury Soccer Academy here in the state of Minnesota, and it's been fantastic. And I'm just enjoying this moment, and I look forward to answering questions and spending some time with my former teammate and my coach.
Great. And let's move on to Frank. And Frank, you were, besides playing, you played in England, Premier League, and you also coached in the MLS and won, I believe, 2 cups, and including being a coach of the year. Maybe give us a little bit more info.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on, and it's great to have, obviously, Bobby, Alex, and Craig, very close and dear to my heart for what we went through together. And like Bobby said, it's just a big family. I felt so comfortable with that team that we had. It was just it was like, not a frat party, but every time we got together, it was just like everyone really.
At least I wasn't aware that it was a frat party. Right?
Yeah, we used to go to the other side of your door, Bobby. You're fine. But anyway, no, just a great atmosphere, great guys. Bobby's already mentioned it, and good players. We had a good team, and if we look at the 3 that go through now in CONCACAF, we're in. But those rules were different. We had to try and beat the best team in our region. In the end, Mexico at home. We're a little bit unlucky not to do that, but again, wonderful times. Seems a long time ago, but anyways. But from that, I got myself into, once I finished playing, I got myself into coaching. I played in the MLS in Tampa for 3 seasons, and then I got into assistant coaching job there. Got another job with Thomas Rongan, who took me to DC United, and then I got a head coach, that's assistant coach, and I was fortunate enough. I was I think I was 13 or 14 coaches that interviewed for the San Jose Earthquake job. And I guess I was a desperate one, because I said, I think when I interviewed, they said, talking about the salary. And I said, I don't care what it is, just give me the job. I just want to try this thing. And, obviously with Bobby, and I've gone through some great managers, and Craig will attest to this, John Lyle and people like George Burley and Bobby Robson. So I thought, I want to have a go at this. I got the job there, and it went well for obviously the first 3 years, but just kept coaching ever since. And I agree with both Alex and Bobby and Craig have said, is that we just want to stay in the game, and I'm lucky enough to not have to sort of get out of the game right now. Coached through. I'm now basically did probably, I think about with the national team of Canada, probably about 14 years or so with MLS, and now I'm in the USL Championship, which is the 1 league down from the MLS in the States. And we have a new project we're just starting, a brand new team in Monterey. So we're going to join next season, in March of 2022. We have Monterey Bay FC is going to join the USL Championship. I'm going to be head coach and director of soccer. So get back to what I really enjoy, which is being around the guys and building a squad and all those fun things that we like to do as ex-professional players and coaches. But that's my new project. I live in Los Gatos, which is an hour away from there. So very excited about it, and glad to be on, and looking forward to the questions.
Great. And finally, we'll go to the keeper for the team.
There
Craig,
it is.
we've met a number of times. Great to have you on again. Craig was on our session when we talked about the Gold Cup victory in 2000 with Holger. So he's on again. Craig again has, kind of followed his dream, staying in the game, but he's taken a different avenue in the broadcasting field, which I think you've done a great job. And we're all behind you every time we watch you on television there. And Craig, maybe just give us some more detail.
Well, thanks, guys. It's wonderful to be here. And one thing I just noticed, when I look at a lot of the players that we played with in that team, and even just the past team in the last 20 years or so, how opportunities outside of the game when they're retired are there. I mean, it was a time when we were playing during the 94 qualifying, for instance, that I don't think there was a coach in Canada outside the national team coach really that got paid a living wage. It was really difficult. Technical directors weren't really a thing. So that's come a long way for the development, and also opportunities for guys to make a living and stay in the game, as you know. So it's great to see Bobby stayed in the game through management, and then obviously worked through the Whitecaps system and stayed there, which is just wonderful. And Alex and Frank, different directions altogether. And I'll go into the broadcasting side of things because that's the easiest route to stay in the game the longest. Because being a manager, you get hired to be fired, as we all know.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you've done all right. You guys have done all right.
Well, I'm hanging in there, Craig.
Monterey, Frankie, that's a tough place to build a team. I feel really sorry for you.
Yeah, my first trip down there, I thought golf clubs. I mean, coaching stuff. Like it's the mecca of golf as well. I was like, every time I drive down, I was like, okay, I gotta get my golf game sorted out here. But anyway, no, coaching first. We want to win, but
Frank, tell us the story quickly. I think you were with Mark Watson, playing at Pebble Beach with Harry Redknapp. Didn't he kept wanting to hit Waddy's ball, didn't he?
He did, yeah. It was his first tee. So basically, I think it was 2000 and, oh geez, I'm going back now. 2000, either 10 or 12, in that region. We had Tottenham come over for a pre-season game. And, part of the thing was, we said we'd take Harry, and it was Kevin Bond, his assistant. We said we'd take him golfing. So I said to the club, where can we take him? Someone said Pebble Beach. I said, absolutely, we're in. So I said, if you can get us on Pebble Beach, I tell you what, these guys will come back every year. Yeah. But anyways, we managed to get that full ball. So it was me, myself, Mark Watson, Kevin Bond, and Harry Redknapp, who's, as you know, Craig, hell of a character. Great guy. So, bloody hell, this is unbelievable place. And he's just going off. So on the first tee, Watty hits it, smashes a drive right down. Probably, he's a big boy, Watty. Probably a good 260. Harry, I think he hits it like 150. So I tee off, I'm in the middle between the two of them, whatever, and Bondy hits. And then all of a sudden, Harry goes right by his ball and goes up to Watty's. And I'm like, do we say anything right now? He goes, oh, what a drive that was. Magic. That was magic. and I'm looking going, that's your ball, Watty. He goes, I think it is. I said, it is your ball. I mean, Harry is like a dolly dimple, like into the infield. Anyway. So he said, don't say anything. So he hits Watty's ball. I'm thinking, this course is unbelievable. It's quite simple. And he starts going on and on. But what a great day. Great characters. Terrific guy, basically, Harry. I think he was on the 7th. You know, the 7th where it goes down, the little par 3. I don't know if you guys are golfing fans, but the little par 3, it drops down. It's about 120, 130 yards. We played that one. And then there's another I think it was the 8th coming back. And he said, he stood on that tee and he went, this is one of the greatest days of my life. And I thought, wow, okay, that's good, Harry. But I had a really good connection with Tottenham a little bit. But I had 2 or 3 players I had on loan from them. So that day helped. And thanks for bringing it up, Craig. It was a hell of a funny time. And we never told Harry. So he might listen to this and go, I didn't know he hit Mark Watson's drive.
I think he did. I think he knew very much.
He did.
I'm sure he did.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me just, if anyone wants to ask any questions, there's the chat, or raise your hand and you can type it in and we'll try and get to them. So let's look at the 94 qualifications, and you guys got very close to getting into the 94 World Cup. So maybe, Bobby, you want to take us through a little bit of that?
Yeah, my memory's pretty good, but I had a little look back just to see what happened prior to the final group of four. And I have to say that we were quite fortunate in the actual first round of qualifying. We had Jamaica, El Salvador, and Bermuda. First two games were away, and we went a goal down in Jamaica with about 15 minutes to go. And I'm not sure, Craig, if you remember the goal, but it was a
Screamer.
The ball popped up in the air and not center goal, but off to the left. And it was a long way up in the air and it took a while to come down. The guy got behind it and literally and hit it cleanly. He didn't swipe at it. He just hit it perfectly and it flew in the top corner. That was close to the end, 15 minutes to go. Thankfully, we got the equalizer through Dale Mitchell, a knockdown from John Catlett, but that was big because that was a huge point in the grand scheme of things. The next game was in El Salvador. We were a goal down there, and Colin Miller equalized late on in that match. So had we dropped both those games, I'm not sure we'd be having a conversation right now because it would have been tough to get through. And then we had a bad result against El Salvador at Swangard. We lost 3-2 late on. And then Alex scored a hat trick against Bermuda, first ever Canadian player to do that. And then we went into Bermuda and really just saw it off at that point. But we managed to get through the next round. A lot of that had to do with, I think, my inexperience as a manager and just thinking, let's just go play and let's just score more goals than they do. But this was a whole different ball game. And I harken back to Tony Waiter.
Oh, we lost your.
Yeah.
We lost your
Oh, there goes
audio.
my audio. It's going to come back in a minute.
Okay. We're just talking about harping back to Tony Waiter.
There we go. Yes, there we go. So, and Tony, when I took over the job, I was naive. I was young. I was excited, and I thought, okay, we can do this differently. And Tony was a master at setting up the starting 11 and making sure that everyone understood what their role was. I kind of bypassed that, but going into the second round of qualifying, I realized this is different and we've got to change our ways. And fortunately, I had a great assistant in Alan Arrington. And between the two of us, we realized, okay, we got to make sure that we don't concede goals. And we don't want to be a bunker team, but at the same time, it's 4 games that we're going to play, and 6 games we're going to play, and ultimately, it's what matters at the end of those 6 games. And we started off the second round with a game in Honduras. They were considered one of the favorites with Mexico to go through, and we were great. Like, I remember that game we played. Frank moved him from right back into the center of the defense, and kind of he was the quarterback. They had 3 quick guys up front, really minimized their chances, and ended up drawing 2-2, which is a travesty because handball was given late on against Mark he had his hands right into his body, and the ball bounced up, and the referee gave a penalty. So. And then the next 2 games at home, we were great.
Surprise.
Sorry? Surprise, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then we came back home for 2 games against Honduras and El Salvador. And I have to say, it was 2 games that were just clinical. Like, we went a goal down against Honduras, but we came back to win 3-1. And that set up the big game in Mexico, where we were actually top of the group going in there. 120,000 people. And how we hung on in the first half, probably in large part down to Craig, but we did. And then they scored shortly after the break and went on to win 4-0. But I don't know if you remember, Alex, but you had a breakaway in that game.
I had a breakaway, and I was in between two mindset. Do
Yes,
I
you were.
chip him, or do I and normally I would just hit that right away.
Yeah,
It still haunts me to this day.
Yeah, yeah. I hate to bring it
put that
up.
away. Yeah, no, if I put that away, it would have
It
been,
would have been interesting. Yeah.
it would have been a
So-
different ball game. Yeah.
Anyways, then we go on from there to into El Salvador, and we win 2-1. Just a real gritty effort on the part of our guys, and I think it was Dominic Mobilio that got the winner.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, that set up the game in Toronto against Mexico to qualify. And Alex, you did score, right?
Yeah.
Yes, Alex got the go-ahead goal and was looking good. And we conceded just before the half. I still, in my head, believe that we got the go-ahead goal, and I think it was Lyndon Hooper. But was called offside, and by all accounts, it was quite tight. So we were pushing Alec for the winner because we needed to win, and they came back and caught us on the counter, and then that set up the Australia series. But I'll stop talking now and let the other guys interject.
A couple of things, Bob, about that. Going back to the Jamaica game, wasn't Les Wilson involved with it? Wasn't the ball? Was that the game when the ball was just down the?
Yes, that's right.
Oh, God.
And assistant, well, I mean, he was manager at the time.
Manager, yeah.
Team manager. He's busting his balls to run down and get the ball because the Jamaican ball boys went missing. Back and it was bouncing down the track. Nobody cared. There's Les goes down 60 yards, gets it, throws it to whoever. Throw in. I think he gave himself the most valuable player for that game.
Well, he should get the most valuable player.
You got a big assist on that one. You got a big assist on
It
that
was
one.
important. It really was.
Yeah.
It was. And he did mention it after, Craig. I'd say that in the dressing room. I got the ball, and good old lad. That's funny.
Exactly.
Do you remember the speakers that they had on the trailer before the
Jamaica?
game? Oh.
Remember the song? We played the loudspeaker, and
Was it
I
Bob
saw some
Marley,
of my
right?
teammates' faces,
Yes.
and they were like, "What the heck is going on here?"
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the
they
grass was
blasted
like,
it out, man.
The grass was like my garden right now, like one of those jobs. I mean, you're talking like at least 4 inches, and then bald patches. It's like, what we doing? But anyway,
They did everything.
good result.
to
Yeah,
slow us
good
down.
comeback. I agree with Bobby there. If a couple of those games you don't come back, you got to win at home, and you feel more comfortable when you go into a game. You know, a tie is probably okay, but winning is great. So you feel like you're more comfortable to do that, and obviously we did. So yeah, that was fun times. Some experience.
Yeah.
Well, remember the linesman didn't give an offside. I think in the Honduras game, 2-2, got pelted with bottles. I think one hit him on the back, then him in the head, and then right at the last, and Bobby's already mentioned it. Right at the last, when Waddy bends down, does the old puts his arm, and he gives a penalty as well. Anyway, sorry, he give a goal that we knew was offside. I think the penalty was the equalizer. I think the first goal was an offside call. It was miles offside, but the linesman was so scared to give it because he got pelted the call before that he give it. So yeah, going down there is tough.
Yeah,
Sure.
I read there somewhere that I'm not sure which one of you quoted this in an article I saw. Very unfriendly conditions. Their bands are playing till 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys can elaborate on
Well,
that.
I can recall the bands will come around, and the police officers were encouraging them instead of telling them to go home. And the police officers would be like, "Hey, go, come!" And at 3 a.m, the loudest music you could hear with the bands. 3 a.m. Yeah.
On your hotel, obviously.
Yeah, at the hotel.
I think
and you're
most of the
getting phone
police
calls too. And you're getting
Most-
phone calls. The phone is ringing at 2 a.m, 3 a.m. So we were told, I think it was take the phone off the hook. Don't leave the phone on. They did everything.
Yeah, I think the police officers had Honduras scarves on. That was for sure.
They were in the band.
How about going to the games with the police officers? That was scary stuff.
No, actually, I don't know if you guys remember this, but when we got the 2-2 draw, because we were the sentiment in Honduras was they were going to stroll by. They played the United States in a friendly the week before, and they beat them 4-1. And so I think we were just an afterthought. So when we ended up getting the result we did, do you remember coming out of the stadium and they started, and the fans started rocking the bus?
Rocking it.
Yep.
Yep.
And
Yep.
and I'm thinking, whoa,
Oh,
this
scary.
is not good.
No.
Yeah.
I think there's a few whiskey bottles or bottles flying around as well. Hitting the bus.
man.
We're on the
Yeah.
ground on the deck of the bus. Crazy. So,
No, you're right.
it was
Madness.
That linesman, I remember when he got hit and the referee went over, had a chat with him. And when I'm thinking, you know, as crazy as it can get in Europe, this would not be allowed. Maybe hit in Turkey, perhaps, you know, but Central America is something special when it comes to that. Acoustic elbow, special.
Yeah.
And
oh yeah.
I remember the linesman, I think he ended up running, he was inside 10 yards running the line, like given
the decisions to Honduras. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
There's no way they were going to stop.
But
the game.
I think we got frozen here.
Yeah.
Alex?
You're
Okay, I'll take it up from Alex. The linesman overtook Colin Miller 3 times though.
Oh, dear. Good old call.
Colin. Hey, Bobby, when you say Colin scored,
Colin.
I'm thinking, okay, this must be a tap-in. It
No,
can't
actually,
be
it was.
anything.
Do you not remember the goal? It was actually off a corner kick, and he came around. It was swung to the far post, and he came around the back and headed it in. It was a pretty good goal. I have to give him credit for it.
Very good goal.
Yeah,
It was
wasn't his
very
left
good goal.
foot.
No.
It was a very good goal.
Well, Bobby, you after that game, I mean,
Yes.
everybody was smoking. There's a steam coming out of our ears. We felt so betrayed, but again, and I remember when one of the soldiers, I think you were going toward the referee, and the referee was surrounded by military. And one of the guys brought the butt end of the rifle up. It looked like he was going to absolutely smash you with his rifle end of it.
Yeah. No, I made it. Well, actually, my initial thoughts were to get our guys out, and I actually did do that. And then I was going to keep walking, and I thought, you know what? I got to have a go here. And then I started yelling at him, and ended up getting fined $10,000 for that as well by FIFA.
Ooh.
Yeah. So it was having said that, we were doing okay at the time, so the CSA paid for it, which was very nice of them to do.
I was going to say, did the CSA pay for that?
No, they did. They did, actually. They did. But
That's good.
We had Jim Taylor was one of the media guys that followed us, and I remember him in his column the next day. He said the referee crew, their eyes were this wide, and they just wanted to get off the field. Like they were. He summarized it as they were frightened for their lives, and they were probably right. And they were from the Caribbean as well, so I'm not sure how many of those types of matches that they would have officiated, but yeah, it ends up that whenever you go into Central America, there's always something happening. And I mean, the urine story has been told over and over again, but you've got to watch out for that too.
It's factual. It is factual. It is factual.
But you know, the part we haven't addressed is the Australian, the 2 games against Australia, and I'll just give again a quick summary. But you know, we had a man advantage after one of their defenders. Sorry about that. Got sent off for a last man challenge, and they did go 1-up. And Nick Dazovic still talks about this and feels bad, but it was they scored an own goal, and it went off of him, and there wasn't much he could have done about it. But we managed to come back in the second half and get ourselves in front. And then we go into Australia, and Craig, you stood on your head in the first half. I mean, they eventually scored just before the half finished, and but we had just been a battering ram. They were just coming at us in waves, and thankfully we came back out in the second half. So it was 2-2 on aggregate, and of all the people to score, Lyndon Hooper scores, and you know, we're up with 15 minutes to go. And it was a kind of a hopeful through ball from one of their guys, and Randy and their striker kind of collide. The ball pops up in the air, and the guy heads it in, and that's with 15 minutes to go. And then we go to the penalties, and probably don't want to talk about the penalties because we didn't do very well there. But what about your guys' thoughts?
Listen, the penalty, that's the only penalty I've missed in my career.
What a time to miss.
Wow.
Yeah, but
Thanks,
Bob, I looked at that again, and I hit that ball as well as I could. The goalkeeper did make a good save on that.
He was a big boy, right? Schwartzer,
right?
Yeah.
He made a good save on it, but man, what I would say about this whole series, right? Both rounds that we played in, for me, and I know this is going to be controversial in some ways, but the group of players that we had on that team, led by Bobby and Alan, for me, it's the most talented group of players that we've put together with the Canadian jersey. And I will say it. I've said it all the time. I'll continue to say it. We had the experience, as Bobby mentioned. We had some young players like myself coming up, and Paul Pescesley. What a group of talented players. And we really fought for each other. It was a joy to be a part of that. I mean, at times, you'll bicker at each other like brothers do. But at the end of the day, when it came to battling on that field, anybody messed with me, Frank would make sure that their forward was feeling it. And that's how we played the game. And, we had some great players. Randy Samuel, think about Randy Samuel, Carl Valentine, Dale Mitchell, Mike Sweeney.
Actually, there's a guy that we should discuss a bit. Mike Sweeney had retired. Man, the whole group were great. Mike Sweeney had retired and really didn't have a left back that we felt could step in and play right away at that level. And so I remember having a conversation with him saying, hey, what about playing? And it took him a while, but man, it was like he'd never left.
How many goals did he give to me? How many goals did he give to me on the platter?
Yeah.
He was fantastic. You know what it was, Bobby? It was either Sweens or Spiky. Come on.
Man, you're zeroing in on
and let's not forget Dale Mitchell.
Mitchell. I hope
oh
Spike
my
is
gosh. Dale was just incredible to play with.
He in fact, he played the through ball to Lyndon Hooper for the equalizer in Australia.
Yep.
But just before we get off of Mike, the game against Australia, is it Slater? Was it Mark?
Winger.
A good player.
Yep.
By the end I think he ended up coming off because Mike just kicked the crap out of him from the time the game started, and he really was insignificant in that game.
Right.
And
yeah.
Carrying on, Frank.
No, go ahead, Frank.
No, I said they had Frankie Farina, I think, up front.
That's right.
In Europe,
yes.
and good player. They had a good side. I mean, let's be honest. They were a very, very good team. I thought we were a little unlucky, to be honest. Was it the penalty? Was it the first half? Or was it a penalty?
No, it was a scramble, and Farina scored on an overhead kick, which, I mean, if you asked him to do it 9 times out of 10, he wouldn't score.
Yeah, it's a shame we couldn't take maybe a little bit more advantage from that first game when we had a man up. But, I thought we played well in Edmonton and thoroughly deserved our 2-1 sort of lead.
Here's the other thing, too, about Edmonton, and I don't want to miss this opportunity, because when we were told, or I was told, that we were going to play in Edmonton, that crucial match, I remember saying publicly, I said, well, they've never really supported us before. We've been there in my playing days, and thinking, why are we going to Edmonton? And the crowd were unbelievable.
Phenomenal.
27,000. It was just phenomenal. Right into the match. Yeah. And kind of that, then for a while after that, it became the home of the national team. But they certainly turned up on that day and did their part in helping us to get the victory.
Bobby, who were the 5 players that you selected for the PKs? I know I missed one. I think Sweens missed one as well.
Sweens.
I know.
Dale Mitchell scored, I think.
Dale was the only one that scored.
Yeah. Actually, the weirdest one of the penalties, and I'm trying to remember who the other ones. Well, we didn't go because we only took 4, and I think they won it.
Yeah.
They converted all. Yep. Well, Mike Sweeney, do you remember his approach to the shot? Like, he stood literally beside the ball and I guess trying to disguise where he was going, but I was looking at it thinking, wow, that's limiting his the way he's going to strike the ball. Do you remember, Craig?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you guys remember as well, that was the windiest day outside of the Cuba game when we played there. Remember the stands were really short.
Yes. Yeah.
It was incredibly windy, and we should have scored 3 or 4 in the second half.
Oh yeah.
Yep. I had an opportunity again. Oh boy.
In fact, Dasso's own goal, could argue I could have come for it, but he started the corner kick out by the 18.
Yeah.
Dasso was like churning, and then he just headed it straight in the top corner, and it was just like, but it was totally the wind. It was just,
it was. But Bobby, the Mexico game, I remember we're up 1-0 at varsity when we played Mexico, and I received the ball in our own half, and I turned inside, and the ball was stolen from me.
Yes, that's true.
And then at halftime, you came up to me and you said, "Alex, why did you turn in? Why did you go in?" I said, I thought I had the guy. Turned inside, and that's when Hugo Sanchez. That's how they ended up scoring. And it haunts me to this day. I'm like, normally I would never turn inside. I would go outside, and for some reason, I turned inside. I watched it again.
You know what's great about these conversations is I would never have remembered that we had that conversation. But as soon as you said turned inside, I thought, oh, yes, I remember actually asking, why did he do that? But that's,
you did.
It's one of those
you were like,
where
Alex, why did you turn inside? I said, I thought I had him beat the guy, but they kind of doubled up on me. I turned away from him and somebody came. I
can vividly remember it. Yeah.
I didn't anticipate that, and they stole it, and the rest is history. Yeah.
Well, hey, Bobby, what was the offside goal? Was Jeff
actually Pesh got in down the left side, and in all honesty, I thought it looked offside, but our bench was in the defending half that we were attacking the other way, and then afterwards, and I think Lyndon made a run to the near post and had a tap in, but I'm not. I keep being told, I've never actually looked at it again. I keep being told that he wasn't offside.
No, he was not offside. He was not offside.
Seen it?
I've seen it. He was not offside. And that referee was one of the best referees in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I think he's a German referee, right? He's from Germany, I believe, or Holland, one of the places. I forget where he was from.
I think he was from Germany. Yeah.
What was the score at that point?
It was 1-1. That would have put us 2-1 up. They didn't score till late. They scored when we were pushing everyone forward. I think Craig, you even ended up.
I think Craig was up for a corner. Yeah.
Actually, no. Craig was up just in the run of play as well. Like he just decided, we don't need to keep that.
Yeah. Man, what a great crowd we had too at that game in Varsity Stadium. It was the atmosphere, even before the game, all the media coverage that we had, it was phenomenal.
Too many Mexicans for me. My God.
It's true.
Green. When we came out to have the traditional walk on the pitch.
Yeah,
you're right. Looking up and thinking, my God.
But we should have had more of our supporters.
It was a great atmosphere.
The atmosphere was great, but you're absolutely right with that. You're absolutely right with that. We're lacking there.
There's a lot of things that didn't add up about that game, and even that referee, as good as he was, it's like, why is it CONCACAF got a German referee coming over here doing the game? And
great point.
That was a good yes, you're right. That was a discussion for sure. Yeah.
Canada, we wanted to narrow the field. Nobody wanted to allow us to do that, but it was all within the boundaries of the laws. When you really look at it, Canada, there's a big situation going on. We got Mexico head to head. We could either knock Mexico out, one of the largest shirts selling countries in the world. Canada's we're going to sell a nickel full of jerseys. And then if that happens, then you got Argentina and Diego Maradona on the other end. They don't want Canada part of that.
Right. Yep.
It's a great point.
I think we're stacked up against us a little bit. I know it sounds like sour grapes, but I really think that game, the bias was there. I really think so. We weren't getting any calls in our favor. That's what I remember.
Yeah, in spite of that, though, I still think we made it hard for them, because if that was the case, because we actually played well. I don't remember the difference between the 4-0 game in Mexico, where we're chasing shadows and are knackered, versus the one in Toronto, where I don't remember. Craig, you'll be able to tell us better, but did you have a lot to do that day? I'm not sure you did.
No, and even Hugo Sanchez's goal, I think it was John Catliff that was in a really good position. And
Through his legs.
It went
Yeah.
right through his legs, like perfectly through his legs.
Yeah.
He struck it well, and the guy's a pretty legend. But I've talked to Jorge Campos a few times over the years doing various things for television.
Yeah.
All those guys have the utmost respect for that group. They were really worried. They knew that away from Azteca in Canada, these guys were going to give us a game. This was not going to be an easy match. They were really concerned about that going in, and understandably so. They should have been.
Yeah. If you think about the lineup they had too, guys, geez, I mean, what a team I think the '94 team was one of the best Mexican teams I've seen.
Yep.
I really.
Well, they
Unbelievable
showed
talent.
They showed that at the actual World Cup as well, right? They beat they did quite well.
Very good.
I think that speaks well about that speaks well about where we were, because we were right there with those guys.
Yeah.
In my humble opinion, we were right there with those guys. We had as many talented players as we had in that series, I think, ever.
Well, I think we proved that, Alex, the next year when we were fortunate enough to get a bunch of games that we probably were better than what we would have got in the World Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't play.
Remember,
that's right.
Play? Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Last game of the series and last game in Marítimo, season game, I got kicked in the jaw. And Rudy,
that's right.
Rudy, doctor, he saw me in practice and he goes, "No, we got to take you to the hospital right now." And my jaw was swollen.
I remember that.
Yeah, went to the hospital and the doctor's like, you have to have an emergency surgery now. Thank goodness nobody hit you on the jaw. So they wired me shut. I missed all of those games, but
that's right. I remember that. It's but those 5 games in 10 days
were phenomenal.
So it was who was Morocco?
Morocco first. I think Brazil second.
Brazil. We had to come out west and play Eddie Verduzco, equalizer.
Yep.
Yes,
Eddie. What a
and then who was the third game?
Did you play Holland?
Holland
last.
Holland last.
Spain.
By that point, we were knackered. And they scored 3 in the first 15 minutes, I think. But Spain, that's right. We played Spain.
Wow.
How about that?
Wow.
Yeah.
What a series of games. I'm still gutted.
And Bobby,
we're
missing the champions, Germany.
That's right. Yeah, Germany. Yeah.
No,
it was interesting because there was and I was speaking with
Brazil that year.
Brazil won it. Sorry,
we only drew with them, and a month later they won the World Cup.
Yeah,
I know.
But the German game, Bertie Vogts was on the bench, and somebody, I think it was Dave Norman, actually tackled one of their guys, and it was a little late, and he stands up and he's yelling over at me because we played against each other when he was at Borussia Mönchengladbach, actually a friendly in Vancouver. And when we were chatting, we remembered the game and the city, and so at halftime, he said, or during just after the tackle, he yells over. He says, "Bob," he said, "This is just a friendly." I said, "It's a tackle. Like what? It's not that bad."
No.
But they I think it was 1-0 right up to the right up towards the end when they got the second goal to kind of put it away. But they, if you'll recall, they were based out of Mississauga. Had decided
Nottawasaga I think.
Nottawasaga.
They trained at the Nottawasaga.
That's right.
Yeah, you're right, John. Yeah.
And I read a story about that game, Craig. Apparently, Alex couldn't play, but you were wearing his jersey underneath or something.
That's right.
In the German game.
Alex, you ever heard this story before?
No.
I heard.
That's pretty nice.
That's nice of you, Craig.
Wow.
I should show you the jersey I got for it. So I'm like, nobody wants to change a goalkeeper jersey, especially a score one with whatever.
I didn't know that, Greg. Wow.
Right? So I'm like, yeah, this isn't working for any of the other games and whatever. So I'm like, I'm going to wear Alex's number 10 underneath. So after
Beautiful.
the game, Rudy Bowler just scored a few seconds before to make it 2-0. I'm like, do you want to change jerseys? He looked at me. No. And I whipped off the goalkeeper jersey. I'm like, I got a number 10.
Oh, wow. Okay. There you go. That's awesome.
How's that never been told? That's the first time I've ever heard that. That's impressive.
Way to go. Smart.
Oh, yeah.
No, but is that, Craig, is that when you said, look at this jersey, look at Bunbury, like you want this jersey, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's
Hey,
right.
Craig, you have to give that jersey, the Vola jersey, now to Alex.
Yes. Yes.
That's
Well,
right.
I
That
remember
would be
when
the right thing to do.
I swapped with Jurgen Klinsmann.
Oh,
Did you really?
Then me and Craig played against him when he moved to Tottenham, and I got him to sign it. And I asked him where my jersey was. He went, "What jersey?" I mean, are you kidding me right now? He's washing his car with it right now. I mean, are you kidding me? Like mine's all hung up in a frame on the wall. It's like mine was in the garbage, I think, after the game. Like, you know, one of those jobs.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, I got him to sign it. We actually lost to Tottenham at home. I think, Craig, I can't remember. I thought I ain't going to get a chance to get him to sign this, so I went in the dressing room after and said, "Do you mind?" He said, he was great, nice guy, good guy. But yeah, it was pretty funny.
I think it was away, wasn't it?
No, it was at home.
Was
We
it?
were at home, I think. Yeah, I think he got one, or it was him and Sheringham. They had a good side. I mean, not Genoa at that
Sheringham,
point. But,
what a player he
geez.
was.
Yeah, I mean,
What a player.
good luck with that one. Yeah,
What a player. Those two together. Oof.
Klinsmann did really well when he played in the Premier League for Spurs. He was something else.
He did.
Sniper.
Really, yeah, he can just score, man. You can put him back
sorry.
in there.
Getting off subject, but sorry. Yeah. But, yeah.
And then speaking of jerseys, see, I had one goalkeeper. I thought, well, that'd be cool, Taffarel, right? Well, when Eddie scored, I'm like, oh, Eddie, like, you got to have the jersey. So
another nice
That's
thing
awesome.
to do.
Wow.
Wow.
Very nice,
I'll
Craig.
give you the Rudy one, and I'll get the Taffarel one with Eddie.
A good trade-off. That was a good trade-off.
Yeah.
So that game in Edmonton, just talk a little bit about the NSCAC. When our association started, Tony Waiters was in charge of Region 9 from the United Soccer Coaches, or at the time NSCAA. So they said, Tony, why don't you start an association in Canada? Gave us some seed money to start the NSCAC, and so they recruited myself, Gary Miller, Percy Hoff from Saskatoon, Tony, of course, and Marv Dadrix from the Victoria area. And so we had meetings across the country in '94. And so one of the decisions was, we went to Saskatoon, very cold. We had to do Toronto and Vancouver. We needed one more place to go. So we looked at the schedule and said, oh, Canada's playing in Edmonton. I think it was May, I'm not sure. So we met as a group in Edmonton and all went to the game. We were there watching Canada play Brazil, and it was, I think, the biggest crowd at the time.
51,000.
51,000, pro-Canadian atmosphere, great atmosphere. We had great seats, thanks to Adidas, I think. And it was an amazing game. And to see Canada tie the eventual world champions was amazing. Maybe you guys could talk about that game a little bit.
I think when to think about that, I don't think I certainly played in a game that was more pro-Canadian as a support goes. Didn't matter where we were pretty much, they had a pretty good, decent number of support. Didn't matter whether it was El Salvador and Burnaby or Honduras and Montreal. It was just always that way. And that was one game where you really felt like this was our home. And I think generally their fans were coming to see the team, the Brazilian team, heading to the World Cup, and one of the very hot favorites going into the World Cup. Not expecting to see what they did, and I think it just turned into a massive event. And you guys remember the atmosphere was just, and they were, when after Eddie scored, Berduso scored, John Catliff came off.
I had a good chance. Yeah. Yeah.
Good chance, and it was like,
Yeah.
holy jeez, we could actually nick this game.
Yeah.
And the
That'd have
media
been
hammered
something.
Brazil. They wanted to fire the manager. There was like hundreds of media in Edmonton, if I remember right, 400 or something media credentials given out. Amazing.
Wow.
Not sure if how much you guys remember about that game from a tactical point of view, but we actually decided to press. I don't know if which could have been catastrophic, because if there's anybody that can play out of a press, it's them.
Oh yeah.
And I think we
Surprising.
off balanced them a little bit, because I don't think they expected us to be that aggressive, and it actually worked, because again, they had chances, but it wasn't like they were parked in our half for most of the game. At least that's my recollection. Maybe I'm remembering wrong, but
Well, you know, right? They had one thing about all these games is they had their full teams like
Yeah.
starting the very best, and it was like
final prep. Yeah.
incredible lineups. But remember, right? Back then too, the pitch was nice, but it was long.
Yeah, that's right. It was.
It wasn't like you could see like in the Premier League at that short, or at the World Cup where it's short and it's zipping around and it's wet. It was dry. It was a little bit sticky. They couldn't zip it.
Yeah. You're right. You're right.
A little bit. So, you know, we'll take the advantage when we can get it.
There you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Why not?
Great. It's almost.
Hey, I got one more shirt swapping. Colin Miller. Here you go, Bobby. You love this one. No, I'm not joking. I've seen the photograph. He's shaking hands with Lothar Matthäus, and he's doing one of those jobs like, after the game, you want to swap a jersey? We haven't even kicked off yet. The guy's
Really?
asking for his jersey.
Oh man, we got to give him stick for that one.
Give him
Oh,
stick.
man.
Yeah, he won't take it. No, I didn't. No. Anyway, no, he's leaning in, going, shaking his hand before the game. Gives the Canada flag to him. He goes, "You want to swap jerseys?" Lothar's like, "What? We haven't started playing yet." I think he probably got like. Well, at the end of the game, he followed him around like for the last 2 minutes, like
Like a lap dog.
Exactly.
I think there was a few doing that against France in the World Cup in '86 in the last 2 minutes.
Well, and Dave Norman ended up with it. He was the closest to it. I mean, and we were still in the game at that point too. Like it was 1-0.
It was 1-0.
And but Dave was the closest to him, so he got the jersey.
Oh, wow.
What a
Oh,
oh my God.
Incredible.
I did get Babetto's jersey in the Brazil game. Not Romario, which would have been nice. But yeah, I think Randy got Romario because he played at Holland Connection.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. But yeah.
I did get a Spanish one and a Dutch one, but it was like there's no name on the Dutch one or the Spanish one. I don't even.
So you don't know whose jersey it is now. You don't remember.
No. Just pick the top guy, and I think it was Luis Enrique.
Oh yeah, I had an El Salvador one that I swapped. It was stinky as hell because I had the other one just smelled like pee. So I'm like, okay, here you go. So again, remember, and then it got stolen on the way to the airport.
Oh, you went ballistic when we got off that's right. We went ahead in the bus, and then they were bringing the luggage. And you noticed, I think, that you thought you packed it a little bit more than it looked.
Fact, Bobby, that bus with all the gear left before us and got to the airport.
Yeah. Well, they had to take time to obviously get the stuff out.
Up somewhere. They had a few stops in between.
I think Watty had someone up against the wall.
Oh, what?
No, I'm serious.
He did.
He's a nut job, but yeah, he was not happy.
Yeah.
Well, Waddy was going crazy. And then remember they come out of the airport and they're just like the military or whatever, the police, whatever they are. And then they have a little chat and they take a little,
deal. Yeah. We'll get you a few jerseys.
We'll look after it. Never heard of it.
No chance. They're all in on it.
John, do you want to interject it?
Well, let me just ask you, what do you think of this national team we have now, and going into qualifications for next year, maybe even 2026? What's your opinion on the team?
This is a group of players that, and I know that we thought we had a good group back in '94. But this is a group that, from the point of view of the attacking side of the game, you got some players that are lighting it up in, Alfonso, Jonathan David, that are lighting it up in leagues that are right up there with the best leagues in the world. And I feel like we will qualify for this next World Cup. Ironically enough, COVID probably, if there's any upside to COVID, it's actually having the format changed and now it being 8 rather than 6. Because if it was going to be 6, we would have had to done the long route and still had to play backdoor games, still play the 4th place finisher in the hex. So I think with the opportunity that you've got a clean slate and you need to finish top 3 and amongst those 8, I think we've got a great opportunity to qualify in 2022 and have that be a precursor for 2026.
Well, I watch these players, and my goodness, Bobby hit it on the head. From an attacking standpoint, extremely talented. And we have quite a few players that are playing in really good competition in Europe. And that really makes a difference, I think. And then, of course, the Canadian Premier League, I think that helps a lot. And Canadian players having an opportunity to play in Canada and develop, I think that's going to strengthen the national team as well. And of course, the MLS, having some players playing in the MLS. So I think this group has a great opportunity to qualify. And if they don't, I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked because the talent is there, the coaching job is there, and the support is there from the nation. I expect good things from this group. I expect them to qualify.
It is quite really remarkable when you see that we were a few players, us 4 actually on this, that had actually experienced playing over in Europe and just getting into leagues, and that was great. And this year we look at these players that are out there and just we're talking about trophies, like they're winning league titles, like Bayern Munich, a Canadian player playing for Bayern Munich, and being one of the players where we've always had those steady defensive, very hardworking, but like we got flair players. I mean, Alex, you were a goal scorer, you were a top goal scorer with Marítimo, but you're a dime a dozen, or not a dime a dozen. They seem to be that way now. But we didn't have strikers. Our biggest problem was always scoring goals. And luckily, we came through when we had Dale Mitchell, yourself, John Catliff, and those guys that came through. You got to have somebody put the ball in the net at the end of the day. And now we've kind of flipped it around where our attacking players are our best players. But we're winning leagues in Scotland, whether it's Scotland or in Serbia, Germany, France, and then now with Lille. That's an unbelievable achievement for Jonathan David. I'm glad he's done that because I think they're in financial trouble now. But it's just mind blowing as well. And then obviously for our women's program, I think that we've seen the European game has gone leaps and bounds, which has now given our young women opportunities to play in professional leagues that are just going crazy. The English league is really quality to watch. It's really watchable, the top end of it. When you look at Lyon, where the other Canadian girls are playing at, PSG, in Benfica as well, they just won the league title, a Canadian girl. It's just something I've never seen before, and let's hope it continues. But guys, tell me if I'm wrong. I look at all these guys, all of them. Maybe take the women aside because it's a different situation. It's a new leagues that are going, but all the players over there are basically or done the same things we did. We were young. It wasn't necessarily our association at all that had anything to do with our development. It was having a community and a family that supported us and got the opportunities. And I think over that time now, with these guys winning the league and with the steps that even we took back in the day, slowly the stigma about Canadian players is changing. That's a big deal for us.
Right? That's everything, Craig. That's everything. Sorry to interrupt, but when we were going back, we had to go back for qualifiers. El Salvador, and you know this. They go El Salvador. You're playing for Ipswich Town. be playing against, whatever in the next week. And why are you going to, and now it's like, it's changed. I think the big thing, you guys have already mentioned it, the Canadian players, and I would say North American, because I think the Americans have done a good job as well of now there's some quality players, these are Pulisic playing in Chelsea. He's a great, what a player, so these guys are playing in top teams, winning trophies, and they're really credible. And I agree with you, Craig. It's like, we finally got that little bit of sort of mantle where we can promote our players, and anybody from any academy in Canada can go play anywhere in the world, I think. Obviously they're going to be talented,
Right.
But now we're producing players that are good enough to play with anybody in the world.
Yeah. And we also have to recognize the fact that, Bobby, you played in England. We got to go. We have to go back to all the players that made this possible. Randy Samuel playing in Holland right after the '86 World Cup. Those are these are the players and then the players from the NASL days that really opened the doors for someone like myself to go to play in England. Playing for West Ham United, and
Right.
you guys going there and then ending up in. Those players that set the tone, that created that opportunity now for younger players to come in. I want to give them praise because they started it all. And
his name has come up a few times on this during this chat. But Les Wilson probably is the original. He played at Wolves pre-Premiership, but the first division in England at that time, and he played well over 100 matches, and so it's what he did at that time is something that was probably way ahead of its time in terms of the opportunity. And Bruce Twomley was at Ipswich with prior to both you, Craig, and Frank being there. But now, then you could talk about one or two or three guys, and that was it. And now you'd be hard pressed in this hour to get through everybody that's over there. But not, and this is where someone like an Alfonso, when he was here, he came here when he was 14. So he's in the U16 team. He's too good for that after a handful of games. Then he moves up. Too good for that. Then he moves up to and this is all in the span of like 6 months. He moves up to the under 17s. He's too good for that. Then he plays in the reserves. He's too good for that. Then he goes into the first team. But you always anticipate he's going to have a learning curve at each level. Not the case. He just goes in. So then he goes to Bayern. It's going to take him a few years before he gets in the team.
A few months.
And now, maybe not right now, but certainly a year or so ago, he was considered one of the best 11 players in the world. That's phenomenal that can happen. And what a great role model for other kids that are playing out there now to realize it can be done. And it's probably not as much of a case as say going and playing at top clubs in Europe, but having become one of the best players, anything's achievable. And he's I always remember seeing him play early on with us, and I thought to myself, his first touch is a little bit heavy because it always looks like the defender's going to get a tackle on it. But I actually think he knew what he was doing, and he'd push it far enough ahead that the guy would go to ground, and you still see it now. The guy's going to ground, he accelerates, and he's off and running. He's setting the guy up for the challenge.
Instinctively.
That type of player is, what we do at this time is what Canada needs for sort of exposure, especially now when television and broadcasting exposure of our game in this country is becoming really difficult. Well, not difficult. Easy, but it's only for the ones that are already diehards. You're not growing the game. There's nobody casually going to spend money getting an app to watch football, unfortunately. So the development from that standpoint, we don't get enough people watching the game in the first place. So I'd like to see that somehow see that improve and give opportunities to see the likes of Alfonso and give it some exposure. Our national team is also on an app that they wouldn't have had.
You're right.
They wouldn't have had 10,000 people watch that on that app.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
And how is that, Bob? We got a team full of superstars, or the national team's playing at BMO Field, our so-called home of our national team. It's not even half full.
Yeah.
And on
Right.
and the same night on a TFC game, it's full. So what's going on here? The CSA used to rely a lot on TSN, Sportsnet, CBC, whatever, because if the game was on, they were promoting it for themselves, and that would just get out there just naturally. But
Word of
now
mouth.
people don't
Yeah.
didn't even know that those games were on, and we got these players knocking in goals and doing incredible things. But yeah, for the likes of the young players coming through, their actual belief with the players and what they've actually done, there's no
Yeah.
reason for that to change. And Atiba, another guy we should mention, technically the best player I think that Canada's ever produced, has been winning trophies for the last 15 years. He's been playing for 20 odd years. Besiktas, he's an absolute star. He's going to have a statue out front of that place. They're a massive club.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
I agree with Craig.
And Craig, maybe I can ask you, why is TSN and Sportsnet not covering the national team? Why is it gone to had to pay for? I think you're right. I mean, people aren't watching it, didn't even know it's on sometimes.
Yeah, well, I mean, they did the deal with Media Pro and the national team games, as well as them taking on the Canadian new soccer league as well. It's been a difficult time for them because of this pandemic, and you're trying to grow a new league. You know, they come out of the gates the first year, the second year, you can't have fans. They don't even know if there's going to be a season. It's the worst time to start up a league at the best of times. So there was investment by them, and they were the ones willing to pay money. TSN and Sportsnet aren't even willing to pay. I mean, when it comes down to, when we look at broadcasting in this country, they weren't even interested. TSN and Sportsnet are Bell and Rogers. Indirectly, they own Toronto FC. They weren't even interested in booking or trying to go in bidding for the CONCACAF Champions League recently. Neither station was interested at all.
No.
And it's their own team, because they know their business model doesn't go around TV. It's supported by sponsorship and ticket box office. Other than that, they could care less. They're not willing to get it on there to grow it, because it's not interested. They don't care. They don't care. The team is run by Americans pretty much.
Wow.
You know?
It's pretty sad.
It is sad. It's a really difficult position for
Really sad. Deserves better.
Yeah.
Deserves better.
If that answers your question, that's what happened. They were willing to give some money and invest, and that there is some money there. I hope it continues, because they're not certainly getting value for it. They're losing money. They have to be bleeding, like most of them are. I mean, Media Pro were the ones behind the big French deal that collapsed and now put the French league and several leagues in the French system in jeopardy now because of that. So it's the same group. I just hope they don't bail.
Wow. Because we certainly like to see them on TV playing, you know, in the next.
We need to see them on TV. We need to.
Absolutely.
Really, the only answer is CBC. It gets out to the masses. Everybody gets it. And we need our national broadcasters to get behind it. And I know that it was offered, and CBC offered some money because Media Pro thought they should get it more eyeballs on it, which would be the case. They didn't take the offer, and CBC just backed off at that stage. But that really is the only answer for exposure, you know, for actual exposure. I don't knock Media Pro for coming in and trying to invest in Canada. That's fantastic. I like that idea. But if you're going to look at exposure, you're not going to get it on there. Not with our national team, unfortunately.
No. Well, we've gone a little bit over.
Yeah.
No, just snip it.
Yeah.
Really appreciate you guys giving up your time to talk about the national team and helping the NSCAC continue our behind the bench webinars. Again, guys, it's you know, we're real proud of you as Canadians to see that you guys have done well abroad. We got Coach of the Year. We got you're in the U.S. promoting Canada, Alex, and your son Teal, is he able to play for Canada, or is he locked into another country?
Well,
That's $1 million question.
That's been a situation. It's been a situation, but my youngest son, Mateo, who's 15, he's a heck of a player. He's probably even better than, I shouldn't say that, but I won't say it. I won't say it. At the
Don't
age
say
of
you,
15,
say Teal.
yeah. I think he'll be better than I. But he's right now in Sporting Kansas City, their academy. You know, obviously, when I left Europe, I came back and played for Sporting. Well, they were Kansas City Wizards at that time, right, Frank? And we won the MLS in 2000. And I have a great relationship with Peter Vermees. So Mateo's there right now, and he's playing on the U17 academy team. I just went and watched him play this past weekend, and he scored 2 incredible goals. And he's just 15 years of age. So he's up and coming. And I think I've got to call the Canadian Soccer Association, because he's one that I would love to play for Canada. And he's American, but of course he can play for Canada because of my Canadian citizenship. So we'll see what happens there, but he's a heck of a player. Sporting of in Portugal, he was there at their academy, but he was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. So we brought him back to America to make sure we can manage it. So it's all good now, and they're very much interested in having him back. So, but right now he's with Sporting in Kansas City. He's a good player. So
Alex, let him do whatever he wants to do.
Yep. That's the name of the game. And I did the same thing with Teal.
Exactly. If he wants to play for the States, let him play for the States.
I did the same thing with Teal.
Yeah.
Teal, I said, I'm going to support you wherever you want to go, son. That's it.
Awesome.
Great.
So you'll be hearing about Mateo.
Like it.
All right. Good stuff.
Okay, well, thanks very much, guys. Again, I really appreciate giving your time. For those of you who don't know about the NSCAC, you can look us up at the nscac.ca, nscac.ca. You can join as a member and be able to see all our Behind the Bench webinars on our members-only portion of our website. And hopefully you'll join us for more. And when we do send you out information on upcoming Behind the Bench webinars, please share it with all your friends and co-coaches so that more people know about our association. We're here to promote Canadian coaches. And as we see here, some Canadians here have done a phenomenal job around the world. So thanks very much, guys. And hopefully we'll see you again. Stay safe.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
Bobby.
Thanks, John.
Craig.
Take
See you,
care.
Frank.
See
Take
you,
care,
fellas.
guys. So nice
Bye.
seeing you guys. Take care.
Bye.
See ya.
All right.
Bye,
Take care.
everybody.
Bye now.
See ya, fellas.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.